Well, hello, my friends, and happy Sunday to you. Look at this whimsical piece. Boy, did I struggle with this. Here are the supplies that I used, not a whole lot, and the stencils that I used, 3 new ones that'll be on sale this week. So I'm starting out with an 8x10 MDF board, and I'm putting down vintage papers. These are vintage nautical maps, and these will be free to you in the resource library this week, and you can grab them there. And so I put those down with my matte medium, and I've taken a piece of deli paper and kind of scrunched it up, and I'm doing my pressed paper technique that I do in the Yummy Layers background workshop. But I love this technique because it's a subtle way to push back the background without a whole lot of color. It's just really simple. I'm using gesso to do that with, so I get some good texture and good coverage. Now I'm putting a piece of deli paper down at the bottom where the water is going to be, so that I have some of that kind of ripply texture effect. And deli paper is great because it's basically invisible. It adds a little bit of a shadow, but not much. But it does have a little bit of that waxy resist to it, so I struggled a little bit with getting the paint down on it, but not bad. It went down just fine. I'm using a variety of paints, fluid acrylics and Americana craft paints, some gesso as my white, and I'm using Sea Breeze for the bottom and Cerulean Blue Hue for the top, and just trying to create my sky and my sea. And in hindsight, at this point, I should have added more contrast. The 3Cs that I talk about a lot and that I talk about in the new workshop, color, contrast, and composition, are key here in this piece because it just was a struggle, and I didn't have enough contrast between my colors. But we work through it. I am steadfast at trying to make it work. So I'm using the new stencil. This is Take Me to the Water. And I love this stencil. I love so many aspects about this piece, and yet it just felt like it wouldn't come together. And I share more about that at the end of the video. And I just stencil all of my bits and pieces in there. I love that little whale. So cute. And I'm just adding my color and just trying to create more contrast and depth to the piece because it felt really, really flat. All of the supplies are going to be listed on the blog, and the link to the blog is down below in the YouTube description box. But I'm just trying to add some depth and some color to this piece. And so I'm going to now, I use my stencils as my guide, which I say all the time, and I'm just going to kind of fill everything in and really brighten everything up. And I don't have to draw it out. I can use my stencils, and it's super quick and super easy. And as you know, like I said, hindsight's always 20/20. My stripes on the sailboat should have been a different color because they blend right in. Not enough contrast, contrast, contrast. But you know, not every single piece can be a wonderful masterpiece. And it worked out. And I wanted this to be whimsical and yet still have some of that vintagey feel, and I couldn't combine the two, so I just embraced the whimsical and went with that finally. It took me a long time. I'm just adding some yellow oxide around that compass up there because I wanted it to represent the sun. And I'm going to work for a little while just trying to add some interest and contrast to that background. I am using gesso as my white. I'm now trying to just add some variety, some depth to the water. I'm using cobalt teal as my darker color, and again gesso for my white, just trying to get some interest, some depth, some dimension. So I'm adding just a little bit of depth and dimension to my whale with some raw umber and some black. I do fix the tail. He was missing a fin. I do fix that at the end, but just adding a little bit of oomph to him. And so I added these hearts with a paint marker, a Liquitex paint marker, and I positively hated them from the moment they went down. And I do fix it at the end. So I'm using my Vintage Postage 2 stencil here to just kind of add to that corner and really kind of beef that up and give it some more interest. And I come back over the stenciled areas and pick it up with my alcohol on a rag to just kind of soften it down. I'm using the whimsical font 2 stencil here with the numbers to just, again, pull down some interest into that corner. Again, picking it back up with my alcohol on a rag. And so all that work that I did to create interest in the background, I now just kind of dull it back down because I was worried about the words that I was going to put down not showing up. So, you know, not every single piece is just a wonderful masterpiece, and the struggles that we experience in our creating is lessons learned. Always, always, always. It's always a good thing, no matter what. Even if things don't come together exactly like we think, there's always a lesson to be learned. So I'm going to do a lot of shading around all of my objects and focal points and just really try to bring them out from the background, really give them some oomph and separate them and create that contrast that I was lacking in the background. And I do that with my charcoal pencil, and then I'll do that at the end again with a Posca pen. So now I've grabbed a white gel pen and I'm just trying to create again some interest and highlights, and I thought maybe I might be able to make those hearts look better. No. And so I then grabbed my China marker again for some highlights. I used it to highlight the boat and the whale and the eye of the whale and some of the water. So now I'm pulling off those hearts with some alcohol on my rag, and it did pull up the paint that was underneath because alcohol will take up anything, but it was easily fixed. And I felt so much better about it once they were gone. I was like, yes. So now I'm going to audition my fonts, and so I'm using tissue paper and I'm just kind of lining out where I wanted this to go, and I was going 100% whimsical now. I'd embraced it. I was getting kind of that curvy line. And so I use the tissue paper and my archival ink and my makeup brush, and then I just figured out which font I like the best and then put them down. And that's what I love about doing that on tissue papers. There's no commitment, no worry about messing it up. And so once I put them down in that kind of curvy line, I really wanted to outline it and really, do something different, since this was something that wasn't coming together like I thought anyway. I'm just going to embrace it and just go 100% whimsical. And so I outlined the words and created little dots and different things like that around it. And once I just let go of the idea that I had in my head of what it was going to be, embraced what it is, it all came together. And sometimes that's life lessons and how we create art, and we just have to let go of what we had, the idea that we had in our head, and just embrace what it is. So I outlined all the words, created kind of this checkerboard underneath each one, and then used my Sharpie paint markers in black and white and my Posca pen again to just add further dots and light and darks and different things like that, and just brought it to life. And it finally felt okay. It took a long time, and sometimes that's just how it works when we create. I hope you enjoyed today's project. If you did, like and subscribe so that you never miss another project with me. There's weekly videos, and I hope you enjoyed the project. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Stick around for the conversation at the end about rest and just embracing creating however it comes out. And I hope you have a wonderful Sunday, and I'll see you next week. There she is, lovies. I struggled hard with this one. I had a picture of what I wanted in my head. I had the quote. I had all of that, and it just was such a hard thing to come together. And this is really, I wanted it to be whimsical, but it just, so once I realized that it wasn't going where I was going, I was just going to embrace it and just go with it and make it the best that I could. And so I there are so many things that I love about this whole thing. It just, I needed more contrast, and so once I started adding some of the lighter dots and different things like that and doing the outlining with my pen, it totally changed how it looked. I also stepped away from it, which I never do. I usually start to finish, go, go, go. But I stepped away from it, and when I came back, I felt a little bit better. But it definitely was a struggle for me. But it's acceptable the way that it is now, and I think it's cute. But it didn't. This is not what I had in my head. And you know what? Sometimes that happens, and that's just part of the creative process. And you just have to go with it. You have two choices, right? You can just trash it, or you can go with it and learn the lessons in the process. And part of my struggle was I was trying to stick, I wanted it whimsical, and I was trying to stick too closely to more realistic or vintagey feel. And once I abandoned that, then it was okay. So anyway, it came together, and it's fine now. But man, it took a long time. There was I had the hearts here, and that as soon as I put them down, I was like, nope. And I had envisioned it in my head, but it did not. It was not working. So anyway, not every single piece can be a masterpiece, and it is good enough, and sometimes that's all you need is good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I love so much about it. I mean, I really do. I love this. I love the sailboat. I love my little whale. I love the words. So I'm not exactly sure what for me doesn't resonate with it. My assistant said she loved it. You know, it's just one of those things that sometimes when you have an idea and it doesn't exactly turn out the way you want it, it's hard to see it any other way, and that is this piece. So anyway, I did use some new stencils. I've got a bunch of new stencils coming to the shop. It's going to be a couple of weeks, but I thought I'd do a sneak preview peek of these ones, and these ones will be available to you when you watch this video at a discount. These are two whimsical fonts, and I absolutely love the fonts. Love them. They're awesome. And then this one is this lighthouse, which I was originally going to use that, and I'm like going crazy trying to figure out what to do. But I'm going to have a whole bunch of different lighthouses, just a whole separate stencil too coming, and I got all kinds of stuff, really fun new stencils coming. But these three will be available to you in the shop at a discount for this week, and then I also have the vintage postage, which will also be available at a discount. So I also wanted to just quickly, before I dive into the story, just wanted to quickly tell you that today is the last day for the Abstract Journey, the early bird pricing. So if you haven't gotten it, jump on over and get it before the early bird pricing goes away. I'm getting lots of great feedback, and people are loving it. So I hope you jump in and get that. Okay, so the story, the quote says, "Live in the sunshine, swim the sea, drink the wild air." I think we probably all heard this quote. But this last 2 weeks has just been insane for me, and I've been sharing that over the last couple of weeks with a funeral, and then we had our our youngest daughter's graduation, the workshop launch. There was a couple other things in there that happened business-wise and then personal-wise too, that just you know, you get to that place where you're like, I can do no more. I am done. And that's where I was at in this last week, and I was dreaming of this place where I could put my feet in I just wanted to escape. And I know I'm not the only one who has those moments where you're like, oh my gosh, I just need some solitude. I need warmth. For me, especially in the cold weather when it's May and it's still cold, I need warmth, I need solitude, I need rest. Rest. And I've shared this before, I'm really bad at resting. And our bodies will tell us when we have to rest. And I've got a cold now because I didn't take care of myself like I should have, but I'm resting now, and have tried to take moments in there where I just chill out. But this is my mantra for this last week has just been like, relax. Breathe in the sunshine, just relax. If I had the sea, I'd be there. I'd have my toes in the sand and drink the wild air. Just breathe. And that is what I have needed to do this last week, is just kind of slow down a little bit. So I hope that if you are feeling the chaotic life and just all kinds of stuff happening, and you know, life happens. There are funerals and things that happen all at once, and we can't plan those. And sometimes we need to just do what we got to do and then rest. And make sure to rest. Make sure to take care of yourself. Oh, loves. You are so important, and I'm speaking to myself too, if I don't care for myself, then I can't care for anybody else. I can't give my partner, my kids, you guys, I can't give you quality love from me without taking care of me. So I just want you to know that you have permission to live in the sunshine, to swim the sea, to drink the wild air, to rest, to breathe. All right, lovies. I hope you have a chance to get the workshop out. There's also, if you're not part of the Creative Souls Facebook page, I'm doing a live on gesso and all the different fun things that you can do on gesso. You can catch that in Facebook, in the Creative Souls Facebook page. All right, lovies, have a wonderful Sunday, and always, always know that you are loved.